You are now listening to Fourth Down Fiasco, Season 2.
Fires, Mike Sims, Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking, firing, near corner. It's caught.
Denver, unbelievable.
And welcome to the Fourth Down Fiasco.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fourth Down Fiasco, your go-to podcast for all things football, brought to you by BetStamp. BetStamp is the sports bookie of all sports bookies. You can go check them out at signupexpert.com/fiasco. They've got FanDuel, BetMGM, Bet365, Caesars, all the big name sports bookies, all in one place just for you. Place a $10 bet. Let us know how it goes. If you win something, we'll cheer for you. If you lose something, it's not our fault. As always, with me today is my co-host and contributor, Danny Weber. And we do have a special guest with us today, an individual who he probably doesn't want an introduction, but we're going to give him one anyways. The all-time leader in yards and touchdowns in the ELF, and also the blackest quarterback in the ELF, Magic Zach. How are you, brother?
What's up, fellas? Appreciate you having me on. Quite the intro right there. Quite the intro. I appreciate it. Happy to be here, fellas.
Glad to have you on. And today we're going to be talking about the Paris Musketeers as well as the rest of the division, Stuttgart, Cologne, Frankfurt, which, I'm probably going to have to eat my words later in the season for the things that I've said already up to this point. But we'll start here. Zach, people have been asking where you been, where you at. You coming back to the ELF, something a little bit spicy you got going on. So why don't you give us a little bit of a life update if you could?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously had a great time in Europe, four amazing years in the ELF, both in Barcelona and Paris. It's just kind of that time. Had some things going on back home, some family stuff. My sister's getting married this summer. My sister graduates from college. There's things I wanted to be home for. And when Coach Mark, kind of headed out, it just kind of felt like the right time. Him and Dawson were leaving. So it just kind of made sense, all things coming together. Definitely not an easy decision. Those are definitely some of the best memories of my life being over there. So it was super hard, but, who knows? We might end up back there one day.
Yeah. And, I don't want to spoil or steal your thunder here, but you've been training, you've been working out for stuff. You got something that you're auditioning for. I don't know how much you can talk about it, but is there a return from the Magic Zach at some point, somewhere?
Yeah, I've been training all off season. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to continue to play football. I'll be doing some CFL stuff hopefully this upcoming this spring here, next couple weeks, months. So I've been training all off season for that, and we'll kind of see how that goes. I want to give it a shot before I truly hang them up. The opportunity to go to the next level, I would say, is something that I've always strove to do through my time playing football, whether that's going from college to the ELF, then ELF to hopefully somewhere else as well. So we'll be trying out for a team in the next couple weeks, and then go from there. But if not, I'm always ready. Maybe an ELF team will give me a call this summer if I'm sitting down somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, injuries do happen, and I think that you would be opened with or welcomed with open arms by the entire league.
It's a QB carousel over there, man. You never know.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say the Panthers will probably get rid of their quarterback by week 3. So
I don't know, man. Panthers. That seems that's where quarterbacks go to die, man. I don't know. I don't want to go be a part of that.
You could change it. Who knows?
Danny, you can't say that after 2 weeks ago we interviewed DJ Irons. Come on, bro. It wouldn't be his fault, though. It wouldn't be his fault.
Something in the water over there.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that, let's go ahead and preview your former team, the Paris Musketeers, going into the 2025 season. How much have you been keeping up with them? Are you familiar with like Henderson's game, who's going to, be your replacement at quarterback? Just kind of tell us what you know, and then we can kind of fill in the blanks for you.
Yeah, no, I keep up with a lot of those guys. Coach Book, he was our O-line OC last year. He's doing some GM stuff for them. Keep up with him all the time. Then obviously my boy Mitch is heading back over there as well. So I keep in touch with him and a lot of those guys too, man. I mean, not all the time, but, definitely going to be watching those guys and rooting for them. I think they have, more than enough talent on that team to go make another run at it. And, Jalen, I mean, the numbers speak for himself. He had a hell of a career in the GFL, and dude's a winner. And he's shown it every year he's been over in Europe on the field. So I think, knowing his talents and the talents of the guys there, I think they're going to be able to do, great things. And bringing in a coach like, Del Rio, a guy that knows his X's and O's. And obviously it's his first time in Europe. So, maybe there might be an adjustment. Maybe there's not. I hope that there's not. I hope it's smooth sailing and those guys, pick up where we left off last year. So I'm excited for them, though. I think it's a challenging schedule. They definitely got some tough dogs on the schedule for sure. But, I know the guys in Paris wouldn't want it any other way. They want to go prove themselves week in and week out. So they're excited and they're hungry for the year.
For sure.
Yeah, they do a brutal schedule, playing the Fire twice again, the Surge twice, Vienna twice, and that's just half their games.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the tough part about the ELF, man. They like to do this. You play the same team twice in a year. I personally, if I was making the schedule, I would just, you play the teams in your division twice, and then the other games, you play a different team from a different country or a different division, one time.
Right.
I think it would make the playoff race a little bit more sweet. And also, like, going to play Vienna twice, that's tough. Going to play Rhine twice, that's tough. Stuttgart, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure, what was it? My second year in Barcelona, we had to play Vienna 3 times. We had to play him twice in the regular season, then we got to play us, so we had to play him again. You know what I mean? It's like, you want to see the best matchup possible. And granted, these are some of the best matchups, but, I think it'd be cool for Paris to go play Nordic Storm or, go play Wroclaw. I never even played Wroclaw my whole time at ELF, all 4 years. So it's like, you think about stuff like that. Like I never played the Prague or Hungary or Swarco or, those kind of teams. It was kind of just limited. So it would have been nice, go play in Tyrol or go play in Wroclaw, something like that. So
You're probably not the only one that would think about changing the interconference schedule. I've thought about it being weird as well. So, but hopefully they change it next year. They're kind of still figuring things out, it looks like.
For sure.
But it seems like they're also open to feedback too, because there was kind of an outcry last year of, you had all the great teams who their interconference matchups were also great teams, and then all the crappy teams, all their interconference matchups were the lesser teams, and it was like, hey, why can't we mix it up a little bit so then that way we can kind of have a little bit more parity in the league, and so it seems like they're trying to do that a little bit more this year, which is good.
Yeah, for sure.
So. But, I mean, I'm with you on the Jalen Henderson thing. Guy blew it up in the GFL. Danny, do you know how many touchdowns? It was 7. It was like 70, wasn't it?
Yes.
91 total touchdowns, like 77 passing or something like that.
Ridiculous.
Something stupid. 5,200 yards in 15 games, 5 interceptions, 77% completion percentage.
Yeah.
Almost 100 total touchdowns to only 5 turnovers. That's nuts.
But
hooping.
Yeah, hooping for sure.
But he's going to go from like 10 Americans on his side to only 1 other American on his side.
Right.
So how well is it going to convert? Who knows? Hopefully it does convert, because it would be such a shame to see him come in and just fall flat on his face. But I don't think anyone is expecting that.
No, I don't expect that. There might be an adjustment occur for him, if you will. But, you've got Austin Mitchell out there. You've also got Mwamba, who, especially like on the second half of the season, really started to heat up. So, you've got some playmakers out there. obviously their roster is still currently incomplete at the moment, but I've been told by one of the other quarterbacks in the league that they already have their entire roster. They're literally just waiting until like a week before the season starts. We're like, hey, we signed everybody, so then that way there's less time to scout. Sounds like a very Jack Del Rio thing to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm pretty sure all those guys are back. I mean, you got Hugo's back, Flo's back, Wamba's back, Mahangu's back. You got all those cats. They're all coming back.
For sure.
They got Condor in the backfield now too. Vumbo. So they've got playmakers, down the roster. So I'm sure Jalen's going to be able to come in and do just fine. I know they're switching up what they're probably doing offensively. I can't imagine they're running the same thing we ran last year. But, with the new quarterback, that I'm sure that'll go just fine. It's his first time there as well. So I think they're going to do good things, man. I really do. I know how those French guys operate, and they're going to be coming ready to play. They're hungry for some more. That loss last year against Vienna was tough, and we felt like we were right there. We
you were there until the second half of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, had a crazy third quarter, brought it back, and then just wasn't enough. A little bit too little, too late. So they'll be back ready to roll.
No, but hopefully Henderson has a quick learning style, because you got Paris starts the season with Ryan Fire and then back to Stuttgart. So two of the top 3 teams in the league right away.
Well, we'll know early. We'll know early.
We will know early what they're made of for sure. Also, with having to play in the division Stuttgart twice, how I guess helpful do you see having Coach Del Rio out there for these really tough matchups, especially this is a kind of a brutal conference because Frankfurt's also supposed to be good this year as well. So
no, I think he definitely. He's been in the NFL, man. He's been around the block. He knows how to game plan against the best players in the world. You know what I mean? So he'll know how to dial some things up to get those guys, ready for that game, both defensively and offensively. I think his son's the OC, so I'm sure those guys will have plenty up their sleeve in terms of game planning and preparation. They're NFL, high level guys. So they've done it with the best. I know for a fact that they're going to be able to go in there and at least put, the preparation together to make sure our guys are ready, and at that point, that's all you can really do from a coaching standpoint. Make your guys as prepared as possible, give them the keys to success for a game, and hopefully your guys go out there and execute. So I think they'll put them in a great position, to be able to go out and play fast and play physical.
So they have the second toughest schedule in all the ELF, which looking at the schedule is crazy that it's only second. Somehow the Raiders have a tougher schedule.
Oh, dude, those folks over in Tyrol just can't win, bro.
They always But I could see Paris somehow at 6-6 at the end of the year with how tough their schedule is, but obviously that's the floor. I feel like, at least in my opinion, the cap could kind of be similar to last year, like the 10-2 or the 9-3 kind of ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but that's just my
opinion. If Paris manages to go 10-2, just with how wildly difficult their schedule is, man, look out for them in the playoffs, because that means that they're hanging in there.
Either Vienna twice or like Ryan once or Stuttgart.
Yeah. So again, we'll know very early on in the season with them. Zach, is there, out of the newcomers, is there anyone that really excites you on this roster? It could be offense or defense, doesn't matter.
Honestly, man, I'm really excited to watch Jalen play. I think he's got all the tools to be really successful in this league, and I think it's overdue, man. He spent those 2 years or maybe more in the GFL, and I think we all kind of wanted him to come to ELF, kind of come up to. I don't want to call it the big league, but we wanted to see him on the highest level in Europe, and now he's getting that chance. And so I'm really excited to watch him play and watch him kind of build his own culture there and his relationships with all those guys. So I'll definitely be tuned in to watch him play. But around the league as well, man, I think Obviously, I think Nordic Storm's going to be interesting to watch. You know, you saw Madrid last year have some success as a first-year franchise. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe they can, you know, kind of go that same route as well. Obviously, they've got some dudes up there. So I think their roster is going to be interesting to see how it all kind of comes together and meshes. So they're definitely going to be a team to watch. See if Glenn can, you know, go score 30 touchdowns again. We'll see. We'll see. Godspeed to him. Hopefully he can.
Holy cow.
But I'm really excited to watch Madrid, man. I think with Andrew coming over there, he has such a good relationship with so many of those Spanish guys from when we were there in 22 in Barcelona. Because so much of that roster is 22 Barcelona Dragons. And then you throw in Reed, and I think you know, he brings another level of experience to the ELF as well. He's been has played at, you know, the NFL level, the UFL level. So I think him and Andrew are going to be able to do some really cool things as well. So I'll definitely be tuned in. Andrew's obviously still my guy. So I'm rooting for those guys down there in Madrid and all those Spanish dudes.
Yeah, no, definitely a very talented roster. I mean, sure, you know, with all the 2022 Barcelona guys, y'all are the reason why I started cheering for that team last year and was sorely disappointed with how things went. But I know,
man, it's a bummer. I wish the Dragons were still around, man. I wish they still had a squad. You know, I think they were a good team to have in the league. You know, I thought it was good for the league to have Barcelona in there. So who knows? Maybe they'll make a comeback in a couple of years.
You'll be the GM or the coach, whichever one you want to be. You know, it'll be great.
Yeah, man. You know what's funny is me and Kyle Sweet are obviously still super close buddies. Still talk to him almost every day. And our OC, their assistant head coach, was Pat Wennon. He was there with us. He was there for both of my years, and we always talk about like how cool it would be to like go like run the Barcelona Dragons and like build them back up. So hey, never say never, man. Never say never. I'd love to do that. It'd be a ton of fun.
I dig.
Yeah, I pitched it to Jordan a couple times too last year. I was like, what if we just like found some people who's like, let's just buy the Dragon.
Yeah, just buy the name and build that thing up, man.
Yeah, I'll be the CMO. You know, we can have Zach out there, you know, as the head coach, because Lord knows I couldn't do that. And then, you know, Danny, you can be the money guy, whatever that looks like. It'll be great.
Sure.
There you go.
Perfect.
Well, cool. So, you know, I guess final predictions on Paris. I'll kick it to you, Zach. Give me what you think the record will be and where they will finish in the division 1, 2, 3, or 4.
That's tough, man. I mean, I can't be out here, you know, not rooting for my boys, man. So I think they are definitely like 8-4, 9-3. You know, I think it'll come down to the end with Stuttgart for that division. You know, I think that second game of the year is going to be very telling because, like, I could very well see this coming down to like two teams are 9-3, and they have to go to like a point differential between the games for Stuttgart and Paris. So I'm rooting for them. Obviously, I hope they win the division. I don't want Stuttgart to win it. So. Nothing against Stuttgart. I got a lot of love for Riley, man. Riley's a stud, and he's been killing it over there. So I'm excited that he came back. I know he was kind of thinking about hanging it up as well. So it's cool to see him back. But hopefully they don't give too many fits from my boys over in Paris. So I'm gonna predict Paris to get the dub on that one.
Okay, so Paris first in the division. Final record 9-3.
Yeah, let's put the line at 8.5 wins. I don't know if I want to go over or under yet.
Okay, I dig it. Hey, you know, we can't unfortunately bet on the ELF yet. I'm sure that we will eventually get there.
Man. I've been trying to get that rolling.
I think I made so much money last year.
What's that?
We could have made so much money last year. The games were so easy to predict.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I could put some solid lines out there, and you know, we'd be able to run it up.
We should just get like a group together, do like a legalized bookie system, you know?
There you go.
I don't gamble. I'm too cheap for that, unfortunately. So that'll be a YouTube project.
Fair enough. We'll handle it.
Danny, final predictions on Paris record and 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, I'm kind of leaning more 8-4, just with playing Stuttgart and Ryan. As much as I want them to beat, at least split 1-1 against Stuttgart and Ryan, I don't see it at this point. It's just my opinion. I want to see Jalen play in the ELF. But so 8-4, finishing second.
Okay, I dig it. I'm gonna go spicy and say they're gonna go 9-3 for a fact, with 2 wins over the Rhine Fire. Yeah, I'm gonna eat those words later. I'm so sure of it. But yeah, I think
about Rhine, man, is going to play at Rhine is just a different ball game. Like you play home versus Rhine, like you might be able to get those cats, but it's definitely, I know both times or all 3 times I've played over there. It's, they got the whole showmanship. You're standing on the sideline, the place is going crazy. They got the fireworks, the smoke, the whole thing. Like they get that place jumping. It's not an easy place you got to go on silent count. It's a big switch up from, going to play, somewhere else.
Milano with 500 fans.
Correct. Hey, you be nice to them seamen out there, okay? But yeah, I'm gonna go 9-3. I'm still gonna go second in the division, just because right now I think that Riley Hennessy is a man on a mission. Sorry, Zach. But I think that Paris is going to be a very respectable program this year, and I think 9-3 is where I'm going to be at. I think that they're going to drop both games to Vienna. I think that they'll go 1-1 with Stuttgart, and I think that they'll beat Ryan twice. Big spicy.
Yeah, very possible, man. Very possible.
No, yeah.
Oh yeah, anything can happen.
My last thoughts about Jalen. I'm glad he's on a competitive team. I would hate to see him come in with Levi Lewis last year on Barcelona, where he has the talent to do it, but he just had nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Jalen's at least on a contender and not a bottom tier team.
Yeah, man, that's such a huge piece that people underestimate going into the ELF. I mean, that's why there is such a QB carousel. I mean, you saw even last year, D'Angelo Fulford when he went to Tyrol, that dude was a stud at Mount Union College. You know what I mean? Had CFL looks, had UFL looks. That dude was competing with the best QBs in the country at his draft class. Then he comes over and he kind of got, I don't know what happened in Tyrol, but maybe didn't get a fair shake, whatever that is. And then he kind of goes to this Hamburg team that has really no identity, and he's just back there kind of fighting for his life. And now he's out the league.
Oh.
Well, we lost him.
Here.
There we go.
What happened there?
But yeah, so he's fighting those battles. So I'm hoping that's not the same for Jalen for sure.
Someone had to drastically go bad for Jalen to be fighting for his life in Paris.
Yeah.
Especially having a Super Bowl winning head coach, and having the talent that he does around him. A lot of guys coming back. Pretty solid offensive line as well. It's nice whenever you have the entire country to be able to choose from for your homegrowns, and it's one that's the size of France versus having one of the itty bitty countries. But no, I think that they'll do well. So with that, since you're still on with us, I know at some point you got to skedaddle. So if whenever that is, not a big deal. But if you got a little bit of time, would love to talk about the Surge with you as well. Since
for sure.
That team and that roster pretty well. What do you think, I guess, would probably be their biggest challenge for this season?
I think they got a couple new imports. I think they got a new DB, and I think they got a new receiver. Mm-hmm. So I think just making sure those guys, a huge part of playing in Europe is just making sure everybody's bought into the culture and everybody kind of understands, what direction your franchise is going. And so I think making sure that they get those guys up to speed with, what they've built in Stuttgart over the past 3 years, and catching them up with that. I think that'll be, the first, line of action with those guys. But they have so many guys returning, man, from, the O-line. They beefed that thing up. Defensively, they got a lot of those guys coming back. So I think I really think that those guys are going to be able to get out and get moving quickly. Yeah. I think they're pretty sick about how last year ended, to lose in overtime in just a shitty rainy game like they did. Yeah, I know that one stung. So I think those guys went out. They did what they needed to do from a roster perspective to get where they want to be for next year. And I think they're going to be a problem, man. I really do. I don't see them taking any steps back. So.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I think, for them, aside from the semifinal game where their defense actually, was pretty damn good, especially considering they were facing the reigning MVP and the reigning championship MVP from the year before. I've seen that they have made some really good improvements to the defensive line, especially. Riley actually said in an interview with me recently that he's glad that he has to wear a red jersey during practice because the big guys up front aren't playing around this year. So I think that, improvements on the defensive line for any team in any league is always going to be a positive. On top of Jeff Cotton Jr., who is the new import wide receiver, he's a baller, man. He is a baller. Has that NFL experience. I don't know if he's actually played like actual NFL snaps, but I do know that he was on the practice squad for a little while. So, he's got experience with the highest talent in the world for sure. Yeah. I think it's a positive.
Yeah. The Stuttgart ended up losing Nicholas Kandar, Yannick Meyer to the Vikings, Darrell Stewart to the Panthers, Chad Walren to the Storm, and then Lenny Craig to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, honestly, losing Craig to the NFL is going to hurt because he was such a good kicker last year.
He was.
But they were able to add 2 new wide receivers and Owewu.
Dude, Owewu is going to be a dog, bro. That is I
forgot they got that guy.
Yeah, dude, he is a big man that is too big to be running as fast as he runs. I wouldn't try to tackle him.
Yeah, Coach we played Munich last year. He was a dog, man. He was not
underutilized at that.
No, yeah. But the one of the other things Stuttgart has going for them, they have the 13th hardest schedule. So very bottom of the bracket. Their interconference games are Hamburg, Munich, and Färöer. So they get to play Cologne, Färöer, and Hamburg, basically, because we don't know how Munich's going to be yet.
Yeah.
Hamburg's going to be interesting this year as well. I'm interested to see what Hamburg's doing.
They're so weird. Like last year, they were supposed to be really good, then they just kind of fell flat on their face. And I just don't trust them. But
I don't either. But, I mean, they have been kind of keeping things a little bit more quiet because I think they learned their lesson from last year of being a little too loud and exciting and then, being kind of mediocre throughout the season, to put it lightly. But, going back to Stuttgart, I think that the biggest thing that's in their way is themselves. If we're being honest, that's what got in the way of them in the semifinal game last year was themselves. 4 turnovers. You can't do that and expect to win a game unless you're causing 4 or 5 turnovers as well. It's really, if they can not shoot themselves in the foot, they have a real chance at winning it all and being, finally getting over the hump. But, in the same breath, previously in the past, we've seen them have a tendency to shoot themselves in the foot. So that's.
Do you guys think it's now or never for Stuttgart? It's either this year or no year?
I would definitely say so for Riley Hennessy.
Yeah. No, I think it's now or never. I don't see that. I mean, yeah, I doubt Riley would come back again. I know he's been kind of thinking about leaving for 2 years. So, yeah. And then I don't know what their coach, if he likes it there or not, I think he's going to be, kind of looking at things as well.
I think Newman likes it there, but I mean, that's just from the outside.
Well, and I'm also thinking about, they have so much talent at defensive back between Raheem Wilson and, just
Mitch Fettig.
Yeah, dude, they just got some real just dogs there, in that DB room. Guys who, if they get their hand on the ball, it's theirs, like all day, every day. And so, I could also see a world where, Wilson says, hey, it's been real. I've been here I think this is his third season with Stuttgart. I can see him kind of doing the same thing and trying to bounce, whether that looks like trying to audition for the UFL, CFL, or just hanging it up and being done with it, as well as some of the other guys too. So I can see it kind of being a now or never type of season for the guys.
Yeah. Hopefully they get, hopefully and hopefully not, that they get Lewis Geyer back. Because hopefully he can get to the CFL. Because I know he tried out. I haven't heard anything on that yet. But if he doesn't make it there, I think he's coming back.
Dude, if they get Geyer back, then that offense is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right, final predictions. Record 1, 2, 3, 4. Zach?
I think they go 8-4. I think they got the same thing as Paris going on, man. I really do. I think those guys are going to be – I think they're going to be a problem, you know what I mean? But I got faith in my guys in France, man. I think they're going to take them down at least once. So I think they're going to drop one other one. So I'm going to put them at like 8.5 as well. I'm putting that line in there.
And then you have them as 2.
I have them as 2. Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Rep your set.
You can't go back on my.
What's your predictions?
I'm gonna go. That might have.
I don't know what's going on, but
it's hard because I'm with Zach on. I can see them. I think they're going to lose one game to Paris just to lose a game to Paris. I don't think that's going to be a shoot yourself in the foot situation. I think that Paris is going to figure out a way to beat them once during the regular season. I can also see them shooting themselves in the foot like they did against Raiders Tirol last year and just dropping a game to just drop a game. So yeah, I think I'll put them at 10-2. I'm going to put them at first in the division, in a very close, 10-2, then 9-3. But I think that's how I'm going to go with it.
I think I'm right there with you, like a 10-2, kind of 9.5 over under. Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing. Lose to Paris, then kind of if Hamburg surprises people, maybe Hamburg or even Frankfurt. But yeah, finishing first.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I think that if anything, maybe Frankfurt even more than Hamburg.
Yeah.
Just because, even though I had them ranked, the power rankings had them at 13, they're probably going to be a lot better than 13. That was before they had anybody on their roster, so I was just kind of, throwing spaghetti on a wall and seeing what stuck. But here we are.
Who's Frankfurt's American receiver?
It is Kevin Kaya. Nope.
Terry Wright.
Terry Wright. That's right. And he has gotten NFL snaps.
Nice.
So.
Didn't he play in the USFL with Bart?
Did he?
Or maybe their DB did.
Both their DBs did. I don't know what's going on with that. That is so weird. But both DBs did. Stribling and Saheem Battle did.
Maybe
both played on the Philadelphia Stars.
Yeah.
So they got experience in the backfield or on the defensive backside. Then they were able to bring in Gerald Amlin from the Cologne Centurions as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, looking at the roster now that it's basically complete, they've definitely got some ballers on the team. That they've got some beef up on the defensive line as well, which will be helpful. Again, I don't think that any team will ever complain about having big boys in the trenches. And then, having a guy with NFL experience at wide receiver is going to be super helpful. I'm still not sold on McKay personally, but maybe it'll be different having a better roster around him this year in comparison to last year. And then, Platzgummer's a baller, so, he'll have him, which will be helpful.
What's your thoughts on McKay?
I think he did some good stuff last year. I think he kind of got thrown in kind of into the fire a little bit, so it was a little shaky to start. But you know, like when they, you know, they had some big wins late, and I thought he played pretty good down the stretch once he kind of got comfortable. And you know, he's pretty dual threat. Like he's able to move around a little bit, which I think is helpful, especially in the ELF. I think that in the ELF, it's a big bonus if you can move around. Just from, you know, obviously my kind of play style, but I think it kind of opens things up a little bit more for a team, not just on script but off script. Like a lot of teams can really benefit from like a, you know, off script, break out of the pocket, chuck it down the field. Like those are big momentum swinging plays that you kind of need in the ELF sometimes when things just aren't going very well. So I think if he can kind of tap into that, as well as, you know, I think a new staff around him, and NFL experience as well with Coach Andrews, I think they'll put him in a good spot to be successful too. So especially if they can get the run game going, because they kind of struggled with the run game last year with Platzcomer. As good as he is, they got to get him going.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, they beefed up their O-line a little bit, bringing in Ebanks, and then I think with the two-headed running back monster of Platzcomer and Amlin, it should open up the running game a little bit more.
Yeah. You have Nielsen returning as well, who, you know, phenomenal O lineman too. So, you know, they've got some big boys up front for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Keanu was a stud, man. He was with me in Paris year one. He was probably our best O lineman that year. So he'll be a big addition for those guys.
Yeah, and if McKay is as elusive as you say, you know, having an O-line that is a little bit more nimble too is helpful for those plays that break down. You need a guy to just be able to pick somebody up. Maybe it's not necessarily their assignment, but they're quick on their feet. They think quick, you know, and Ebanks as well as Nielsen, both we've seen in the past have the ability to kind of improvise as their quarterbacks improvise. I mean, you know, anybody that has to have you as a quarterback, probably pretty good at improvising. I had to. Danny said that he was going to take a shot, and I was like, bet you won't. And Danny was like, yeah, I won't. So, but no, on a serious note, though, you know, having quarterbacks who do improvise, though, and having linemen who can sustain that improvisation, you know, it's that you can't teach that. That is just pure instinct.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely improvise every once in a while. I'm not here to doubt that or put that down. But you know, we had some success with it. So at the end of the day, I can't remember who called me an improviser last year, but somebody called me an improviser last year.
It's probably Matt.
Sounds like Matt.
I don't know who.
Matt just
was Matt.
Or maybe Mao Chow. Maybe Mao Chow said
it could have been Mao Chow.
Yeah, I don't know. One of those guys, somebody said something, they got thrown up in a meeting, and I was like,
You're like, okay.
If you need to go, you can head out. Matt or Jordan said something about a 5:30 cutoff or something like that.
Oh, no, you're good. Nothing's been happening at work, so I'm chilling.
Okay, cool. Well, you know, if you're here to stick around, then let's go ahead and go to our, let's
I have some other comments about the Galaxy real quick.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about record and where they're going to land real quick for Frankfurt. So, record for Frankfurt, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Zach,
I think they're really they're interesting to me because I think they have the potential to be pretty good. But I mean, they got to go through Paris twice. They got to go through Stuttgart twice. You know what I mean? Like those right there, it's hard for me to give them any of those. You know, so that right there puts you at 4 losses. You know, so I'd probably find them in like the 6 to 7 win range. They might surprise me and steal a couple, but I'd probably put them at like 6 or 7 wins, and then I think they for sure get 3rd in the division. I don't think Cologne's going to be able to.
Cologne's. Yeah. We've heard rumors of Cologne being worse than last year's Dragons.
Nothing gives my guy Q Pounds, man. My guy Q Pounds calling plays over there right now. So hopefully he can dial something up. But
well, right now they don't even have a roster for Q Pounds to call up plays for.
I know. That man's gonna be running routes and calling plays at this rate.
Danny, step up and do what's right.
Danny, do you know what Frankfurt's interconference games are by chance?
Yes. Before I say that, they have the 8th toughest schedule, so that helps your 6-6 kind of deal. But they play Madrid, Nordic, and Prague.
Oof.
Six, honestly.
6.
Yeah. They're not beating Madrid either time. I don't think that they're going to be Nordic either time. I could still see them figuring out a way to steal a conference game, from Stuttgart or, even potentially Paris. So yeah, I'll give them 7 wins just to be nice, because I ranked them so low on my thing, and I'm sure that's going to bite me in the ass later in the season. So I'll say 7 wins. I'll say 3rd in the division. What about you, Danny?
So we kind of talked about it before. They added Amlin, Wright, Eubanks, Battle, and Stribling. They lost Markel Castle, but I like the wide receiver they brought in kind of more. But that's probably a hot take.
I mean, again, he has legitimate, pro experience. So
yeah, but
Markel's still in the league.
Who?
Markel Castle in the league still?
Not. He hasn't been signed publicly yet. I don't think he's been signed at all yet. Yeah, weird to a lot of us. I was talking to Alex about it a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago now, and it was just kind of waiting. I think he said something was going on. I think kind of family stuff as well, but that could be a completely wrong statement. But no, I think the defense for Frankfurt is going to be really, really good. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if their offense is going to be as good, even though they have what looks like on paper a good offense. But I'm kind of in the same range of a 6-6, 7-5 kind of 3rd place finish.
I think
is funny because Stribling gave us a thumbs down on one of our posts.
I was actually just about to shout him out and say Stribling is going to cause people some problems. Another guy with some NFL experience, so he'll definitely get his. I'm not saying that he as an individual won't get his. But yeah, I don't know, just something about their roster just really doesn't move me. And I think maybe part of it is just I have a bias after seeing them last year, and last year's team also just didn't move me. So
I feel better with Edwards or with Zach agreeing with us. So
yeah, so whenever people are mad at us, we can just point at Zach and just be like, he said it.
Go ahead, man. You guys can put it on me all you want.
Well, it'll be fine because you'll be in the CFL and throwing up touchdowns, and you won't even be checking your DMs anymore. So,
no, I always got love for you guys. And I think it's gonna be tough, man. You know who I'm kind of going off topic here, but
we do that all the time.
Who my sleeper team of the year is this year?
Ooh, who you got?
It's the Prague Lions.
That's kind of all our sleeper picks.
I think they're gonna surprise some people. I think people see Prague on the schedule and go chalk it up as a win, but I don't think it's that sweet this year. I think my boy Willie P and Javarian are gonna be. I think they're gonna be solid. And I think new coaching staff, I think those guys are going to be all right. I don't think, by any means, they're a playoff team. No offense to them, but I think they get out of the 1 to 2 win range this year.
Yeah.
One of their scouts told us that they're aiming for 4.
That'd be big, honestly. That'd be big for them.
They believe they can get to 4 wins this year.
You get 4 or 5 wins, that's a good year coming out there.
Yeah, and I don't think, I'll continue being off topic. Let's see, what was their schedule? I forget who their interconference was. Hamburg, Frankfurt, and Helvetic are their interconference.
Oh, dude, those are winnable games.
That's what I'm saying, man. I think they got a favorable little thing going.
Because they get Farivar twice, which is nice.
Yeah.
Then, depending on how Hamburg comes out, and then you get Helvetic. Helvetic's another weird team. They rebuilt.
That's my sleeper team.
To the extent of Prague.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm all for, I feel like in the sports world, we jokingly say, like, they're bad, but they're fun bad. And so I think that that's what Prague's going to be this year. So they're going to be fun bad. They're going to put up some points. They're going to have some fun stuff going on. They're going to definitely make some of the better teams sweat a little bit, have some fans kind of, on their toes going, oh, God, are we really going to lose to Prague? So, no, I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I think it will too. All right, I'm taking over questions now. Okay, you ready? All right, you ready?
You said screw Cologne. Let's just.
Yeah, we kind of already talked about Cologne. They ain't got nobody. They're gonna get fourth. They got 3 wins. Okay.
What you got for us?
All right. Who are your 6 playoff teams in seeding?
We have talked about this for so long. It's such a tight race this year. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm pulling up my little list here.
Yeah. So my division winners are Nordic, Stuttgart, Vienna, Madrid. So that's my 4 locks, basically. And then I feel like the wild cards would have to be Rhine and Paris.
Okay.
Because I have Rothblas coming in second in the East, and then Tyrol coming in the second on the South.
Okay.
So that's my 6.
My 6, I'm just going to do them in order. I've got Vienna, Stuttgart, Nordic Storm, Rhein-Fire, Paris, Madrid.
So the same.
Yeah, which I guess in all of this, Madrid being in a different conference would be a little higher for seeding, but those are my top 6 teams.
Yeah. I think, is Madrid in Ryan's conference?
No. Madrid's with, so Nordic, Rhine, Hamburg, and Berlin are in the north.
Okay.
And then it's Madrid, Tyrol, Munich, and Helvetic.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's kind of the big 6, man. I really do.
Yeah.
You could kind of have Munich and Tyrol are kind of going to hover around that just above 500 win mark, in my opinion. And then kind of Frankfurt in the same way of that 7, maybe cap out at 8, but not with their schedule.
Yeah, well, I have them at 12, so I'm just I'll stand by that. It's fine. Well, what else you got for us, since you're going to grill us with questions?
All right. I got one more. All right.
Okay.
Who's your way too early MVP for this year?
Ben Holmes. I was on the Ben MVP train last year.
Yeah, you were.
So I'm sticking with it. His offense only got better. Like, he threw up stupid numbers last year, and they added more people. It's unfair.
That's hard. I feel like just because Danny is such a lover of the Vikings, I have to be anti-Ben Holmes, which sucks because he's a great guy. But I feel like I just have to be so anti-Ben Holmes because of Danny. Man, I don't know if Glenn is going to do the same thing I don't know if he's going to have another 30 touchdown season. We may never see that.
You said over on the touchdowns. You asked us over unders. Don't backtrack now.
Oh, did I say over on the touchdown?
You said over on.
God damn it. This is what happens. I always try to make the spicy takes. I forget the spicy takes, and then
if he goes over, it's a lock. He better get it.
Yeah. If he goes over 30 touchdowns, it's a lock. Shoot. Well, I guess if I chose the over on it, I'm going to go Glenn again.
There you go.
I could see a dark horse in Reed Sinnett, though.
Reed Sinnett could be a good pick.
Yeah, I could see him. If he is every bit as talented of an arm as we think that he's going to be, I could see him, sneaking his way in with that Madrid team.
I see him.
Especially since the defense isn't going to be all that great.
Who?
Madrid and their defense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if Reed is able to get them a playoff spot, it's probably because he's putting up ridiculous stats.
Yeah, I think him and Cruikshank are going to put up some big numbers, but we'll see when the time comes.
I got Riley Hennessy.
Okay.
That's a good pick. I'm shocked you didn't pick Riley, Jordan.
Well, it felt unfair just because I'm already about to release an article about him.
Yeah, you're his number 1 fan right now. You did a one-on-one interview, write an article.
I know. He does not give a rat's ass about winning MVP. I don't think that that's his focus. I think he's focused on winning football games and winning the football game at the end of the season. So, I could see some games where, some other guys are, especially with Owayo or Owayo. I need to get better at that. Owayo. If he starts to heat up throughout the season and they start to hand it off a little bit more, I could see his stats taking a hit potentially, which, stats unfortunately is kind of the driving factor for an MVP win. He'll be in the mix. He'll be one of the top 3 to 5 for sure, hands down. Like that's a given. But I'm just thinking about like guys who will have the stats to get there. I think, again, if Reed Sinet can get them to a playoff berth, it's probably because he's putting up video game numbers. So,
yeah, I could see Reed balling. The reason I say Riley though is because like he's been close. Mm-hmm. I took his offensive player of the year last year, so that was on me. And then I know him and Ben were not super thrilled with the results of the ELF awards last year. I've gotten a little guff from both of them. It's all love. But I see Ben Holmes' Instagram comments. I see Riley's stories every once in a while. I peep them. So
just tell him to be better.
It's all love. We're all competitive cats, and I've talked to both those guys, and they're both awesome dudes. So
yeah,
I think it's going to be Ben or Riley, just because I think Ben is in the position where if he puts up a year like he had last year and he doesn't get hurt for 3 games, I think,
yeah.
I think maybe my offensive player of the year trophy is on his shelf instead of mine, but. And then Riley, like, he's due, man. I think he's going to have a better year than ever this year. So,
I mean, he's been in the lab, he's been working, and it's convenient for him because when they signed Jeff Cotton Jr., they were living like 20 minutes away from each other in Washington, and so whole off season he's just been thrown to his guy, which I think day one you're going to see a really good connection between the two of them.
Yeah.
I think the MVP race this year is going to be very controversial. I feel like there's going to be a lot of them, and it's going to be a lot of back and forth.
That's good, man. That's a good ball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, parity is good for the league for sure.
Do you think the parity has kind of shrunk last year to this year?
I think it's definitely. I mean, from my perspective, because I'm not in it anymore, I feel like it's just more interesting to me because I'm not there, I suppose, because you got a lot of new names, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like for a while it was like kind of like me, Jadrian, and Jacob Sullivan were kind of like your 3 cats, and now it's like depending on, who stays around, who doesn't get hurt. Like, you got Ben, you got Riley, you got Jalen, you got Jadrian still, Jake's still playing, you got Reed, you know what I mean? Like, it can be Javarian's over in Prague. Maybe they just go crazy this year. They got the new guy, the young cat in Munich. There's some dudes out there, man, with some talent. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of who sticks around, because I feel like there hasn't been an ELF season without like dramatic turnover change at the quarterback position. So. I mean, hoping all those guys stay healthy and they can make it through. But I know a lot of it is like quarterback-wise, it's like the 5 guys that don't get hurt, and then it's like a huge fall-off because everybody else has played like 4 or 5 games. You know what I mean? So,
well, at the end of the day, it still kind of all hinges on whether or not if Glenn Tunga goes off for 30 touchdowns, because if he does it again, that
true. Very true.
So,
very true.
But okay, so you're saying that the parity in the league is a little bit better. I agree. We've talked about it before on the pod. Of as sad as it was to see Barcelona go, it makes the league better. Seeing Milano go, sad, but it makes the league better, especially when you're replacing those 2 with Nordic, which Nordic from day one, because of the moves that they've made, the people they've brought in, they're already a playoff contender, potentially a championship contender. We still have to wait on that, but it's kind of hard to bet against Clark and Tunga together on the same team. We've seen that the past 2 seasons already. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think the parity is a little bit better there. But
Yeah, man. I think the top got a little bit more even. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like going into last year, you had really like only 3 teams that you were like, oh yeah, these teams are going. Right. Now, like it's up to 6, and then I think the bottom, got better with Prague getting better. I think Helvetic's going to be better. I think the Enthroners, I think their QB that they got, I think he was playing in Potsdam last year. I think he'll help that team a lot. I think Hamburg's going to be better than they were last year. Frankfurt will be better. I think Cologne will probably be a little bit worse, and I think Berlin might be a little bit worse. But I think both Berlin and Cologne still have enough to, make a run every once in a while. Hopefully.
So let me ask you this. Why do you think it is, this year in particular, we have seen it's either 8 or 9 guys with, some sort of NFL experience, whether if it's being on the practice squad or actually getting snaps and being a relatively good player like Keelan Cole. Why do you think that these guys are starting to choose the ELF over other leagues? Because Keelan Cole could easily be in the CFL. He could be in the UFL. Why do you think that these guys are choosing the ELF over some of the other leagues?
I think part of it, one, is it's getting more competitive. The European guys are getting better. I think the coaching is getting better. You see however many coaches we have now with, either ex-NFL or Division I experience. And those coaches know these guys, so like they're able to go recruit these caliber of players because they already have relationships with them. Like Coach Andrews being able to go to his USFL guys and bring them over. Coach, I don't know how to pronounce that coach's name that was there last year, but he Coach Kessling or something like that. He doesn't have the relationships with those kind of guys like these new coaches have. And even like Coach Del Rio, I know they kind of kept it pretty similar from an import standpoint, but I'm sure he's got a plethora of guys that he's able to go after. And even Coach Andrew, I'm sure he had a ton of connections to be able to get in contact with Reed and their receivers. So I think just the network of coaches and recruiters is getting bigger. So you have much more access to those kind of guys. I can tell you what though, I'm thankful when I came in that it was like that because I was a Division III kid, and I got a shot over there and was able to, hold my own and, prove my worth. But, part of, playing that upper level of football is it's hard to get your shot in the door, get in the door somewhere, So I like it. I think it's good for the league, but it also kind of breaks my heart a little bit because, part of what I loved about it was the kind of unseen cats that, go under the radar in the U.S. that, maybe didn't get the CFL or the USFL love. They got the shot over there. Guys like, Kyle Kitchens or, Amari. Those are guys that maybe didn't get as many opportunities as some of these guys that are now coming in, but they came out of Europe and they've been able to make names for themselves just like I did. So it's kind of both sides for me. I like it. I think it's just making the game bigger and more popular in Europe, but at the same time, I miss kind of that small school, get it out the mud kind of guys. Right. And they go out and show out.
Yeah, no, I hear where you're coming from. I also think that, as the league expands, there might be opportunity maybe to add an additional, 1 or 2 American imports to the team as well. Because I think the ELF is all about trying to have the best product that they possibly can. And I think that what they're building on, at least in its earliest stages, is a better product than some of the other leagues as far as how they market things, how they get their fans involved. It is this having played, it is a full-on production from beginning to end, which, I'm sure is probably pretty exciting, especially for someone like you who went to a small college to have the full-on production,
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It gives you a platform, it gives you, the biggest thing for me was it just gave me the ability to go compete against guys that, played Division I football somewhere and, be able to, show them that, I'm better, even if I did come from a Division III school,
right.
That was what got me excited. And that was kind of my driving thing was, I wanted to prove to, everybody in Europe that, as a Division III guy, I could still come over here and, compete and dominate. And that's all I really wanted to do. And so it'll be fun to see this year with, the more guys, the better talents and that stuff. So I'm excited for it for sure.
For sure. Well, we are getting close to our hour mark here. So, Danny, I'm going to take the last, we normally throw a bullshit question here at the end. I'm going to switch up our normal bullshit question because
it's on interviews. So go for it.
Since Zach's no longer, in the ELF,
advisor.
This will be fun since you're not in the ELF. In a one-on-one quarterback battle, who do you think you're whooping the ass of? I want to know. This is your chance to call somebody out and never have repercussions for it.
Whoa! Like in the ELF?
The ELF door was still open if they needed him.
You're saying in the ELF?
Yeah, in the ELF, who are you beating in a one-on-one quarterback battle?
Oh, everybody. Everybody.
I love it.
The ELF needs like Pro Bowl games, right?
I mean, yeah. Like the with the moving targets, you got to hit them, and maybe some running drills too. I guess since you're.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of talented guys, but in my opinion, I think I was the best quarterback there the past 4 years, and if I went back, I would think I personally still think I'm the best one over there right now. So I would say me.
You have the trophy to prove it.
Huh?
You won the highest award of any quarterback, so.
Yeah.
There we go. So, I mean, I would say that would be fun, though. I wish they did do something like that. Low Pro Bowl games. I think it would add to the fun of the league.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. No, I need to see a quarterback drill done between you, Ben, Hennessy, and Sullivan. I think that would be prime television right there. Yeah, and we can throw in Sinet now too, since he's,
Bring it on. Let's do it. If you guys set it up, I'm there.
So we'll figure that out somehow.
Yeah, let me just call my exclusive contact list of executives and billionaires, and I'll just get it done.
I mean, I'm just letting you guys know that I'm, I'll wear a FDF shirt. I'll rock your shirt. Give me a hat.
Hell yeah,
I'll do it.
Hell yeah, and it'll be an FDF jersey, and on the back it's just gonna say him. That's all.
There you go. Perfect. Number one.
Oh man, well, cool, Zach. We appreciate your time as always. You're always more than welcome to jump on the pod with us. Shoot the shit. But it's been good. Appreciate the insight as well. And yeah, for those of y'all who have made it through to the end of the episode, we appreciate y'all. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fourth Down Fiasco. You can also follow us on Twitter at @4thdown_pod. And then Zach, do you want to plug in your handles as well? See if you can score a follower or two somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. At MagicZach_11 on Instagram and Twitter as well. Me and Kyle Sweet are trying to get a Manning cast type thing going this year. So stay tuned because I'm trying to get that off and running. Probably going to call it the Magic Cast. So stay tuned for that. I think one big thing I want to kind of go in one direction I want to go as I kind of phase out of ELF is bringing guys that have played and made names for themselves. I want to keep them around it and continue to grow it up because, you look at the NFL and all these guys that do, the pregame show, the halftime show, they're all ex-NFL guys, you know what I mean? So I kind of want to bring that same kind of feel. Nothing against my guys, Matt and the Malchow guy, but we need some guys that actually played and know football to start kind of diving into these kind of things. So, and then I'm going to have y'all come on to my Manning cast.
Word. I will be on the Magic Cast.
Partner if you want, just Manning or Magic Cast presented by FDF or something.
I don't even need that. I'll just come on just to talk shit. That's
There you go. Hey, we'll make something happen for sure. But I appreciate you guys having me on as always. It's always good talking to you guys. And I'm sure we'll chat throughout the season. So
sure. Cool. Well, thanks, Zach. And thanks everybody for watching. Or listening rather. This has been the Fourth Down Fiasco. See you next time.
Peace.
See you, fellas.
I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.